We can go. Just tell me when.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Excellent. Well, welcome everybody. Happy Tuesday of the end of June. I can't believe we're here at the end of June. It's been a long year. I was just writing up our summary for our general membership meeting on Thursday, and it's just amazing. It's amazing the road we had to take this last year, and so it's great to be able to end off our June with an excellent meeting on leadership. So I just want to thank Kelli-Rae for her support with this throughout this past year. It's been fantastic, and we've had some record numbers throughout the year and engagement. And, I just appreciate everybody that has kind of stuck through from beginning to end. And even though it's gorgeous outside, thank you for hanging out with us today. And I know we do send a email out at the end with a link and everything. And I know Kelli-Rae would appreciate, and I would appreciate too, if you just gave Kelli-Rae some kudos and maybe put a Google review up for her and just thank her for what she does do for not only our community, but she has a far reach, and we are very fortunate to have her in our community. So I'm going to hand the reins over to Kelli-Rae.
Thank you, Cindy. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to be here. And likewise, I'm so grateful that great people like you asked me to work on this project with you. So I'm really humbled and grateful. And I'm so amazed at how many people showed up today, even though it is so gorgeous outside. I want to go out my window right now, but I will stay here and keep teaching. Okay, so we're going to be covering some big topics. There's going to be about 5 sort of sections of today's talk, but the whole purpose and my intention as I was getting my makeup on this morning and telling myself what the intention for today was to help leaders more successfully navigate change and therefore have incredibly happy employees. It's all about your employees, guys. You got to love your employees. You have to treat them so well, and you have to be kind, and you have to trust them. And all of those things that I normally tell you about leadership become exponentially more important when we're going through change. Okay, so this is an unprecedented, can't use that word enough, example of change over the last 15-16 months. One that for a long time I think will be studying and getting data on and watching how it changes consumer behavior. We've already seen a few major things with consumers, but with employees, like no one's talking about employees. How does this affect our employees? So I want you guys to know that while I'm here teaching you to be a better leader, I'm thinking of your employees, because I want your employees to be well taken care of as you all navigate change together. And that's how you're going to be successful. Okay. I want to make that really clear. We need to take really good care of our employees, make sure that they want to follow us, that they're like, sure, whatever you want, we can do it, So successful leadership through constant change, that's the topic. And we chose that wording because everything is always changing, even if everything's getting opened back up and one day we stop talking about COVID so much, there's always going to be algorithm changes on social media. There will always be changes in people's lives, having babies, getting married, taking a sabbatical. There's so many different things. For us and my other companies, we're opening 2 new locations in a year. So 3 locations now with the clinic and the shoe store. And all of those things are changes. And as much as I feel for you as the leader, because I have those sleepless nights too, where I think, I got to get that in the calendar, or I got to write that down, or I got to ask this person that, or this, or this, or this. Actually times a million, because I'm also worrying about all my clients' businesses. So I get it. Leadership is not easy. Leadership is very, 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 very important to your business. And so continuing to improve your leadership is key, okay? Especially your change leadership. Now, if you guys were on with me in the first presentation of the series, we touched a little bit on change leadership, right? Anybody raise your hand? Were you here for the first session where we kind of talked about change leadership? Okay, good. What about, hold on, my other half of you. What about, oh, all the cameras are on. Thanks, guys. How about you guys? Can you raise your hands one more time, please, for me? If you guys were here for the first session and you remember me talking about change leadership. Okay, so not too many of you, so that's great. So not the couple of you that are like, oh, I heard this part before. Challenge yourself to not do yourself and your employees a disservice by thinking, I already know this, okay? Because if you already know this, if you really know it, to me, that means that it's in your business, it's happening every time, it's in your calendar, it's on your job descriptions, and you are just nailing this, like change after change, you're following the 5 steps. And if you're not, then just try to listen in a new way to hear something. You know, sometimes you watch a movie twice and you're like, I never saw that funny part that last time. Let's do that today, okay? And at any point, if you'd like to stop me and ask a question, do something funny with your arms or something, and Mercedes will get my attention. She's in the room here with me. Okay, so change leadership. We're going to start with this. So there are 5 steps that are totally inspired by John Cotter. This is what I wrote my thesis on when I got my MBA, because change leadership to me was the most important thing I learned. Even though going into it, I really thought HR classes were going to be the worst. I thought they were going to be so boring. But one of my profs told me that HR is the most underutilized tool in the toolbox. And that has definitely, I've seen that show up in so many ways. So that is so true. So your human resources, your people, the way that you're taking care of your people, the way that you're getting feedback from them, that's all really, really, really important. Okay. So in change leadership, there's 5 steps that I want you guys to make sure that you're doing. And I would like print this out and put it somewhere, or like make it big and frame it, or put it on a big whiteboard, because there is at least one change happening every day. Every day. It's crazy how much change happens. So it could be anything from, like I said, a social media algorithm. So your posts are no longer working, so we need to tweak something in the marketing, to we hired a new employee, to, you know, renovating the space, to offering a new product. All those things are changes. And we want to just continually do this 5-step process over and over again. Okay. So number 1, when we have a change coming, no matter how big or small, you want to plan out the change. So number 1 is plan out the change. And you're not just doing this for your benefit so that you know it will actually work when you do it. You're also doing this for the benefit of your employees. You're showing them we've planned this out, and you're gaining their confidence. Because sometimes, and I know that I do this to my team sometimes, I'll come in so excited, didn't sleep because I have this great idea. I'm like, we're changing everything. And the staff are just like, oh, no, we just got it right, you know? So I try to control that entrepreneurial outburst. But if I come in and I say, okay, let's make a plan for this, because we really want to, example, community VIP group, right? So we are making an excellent plan for this change. And another example I like to use for this rule number 1, plan out the change, is if you are changing some or all of your employees from a 5-day work week to a 4-day work week. So a lot of people just love this. They get a 3-day weekend every week, and they work 10-hour days, 4 days a week. And if you're going to do that, you want to really look at planning out the calendar. Like plan out months, like plan out the holidays, plan out the stat days, plan out the calendar on everyone's schedule, how it's going to look, so that you can show them, look, you still make the same amount of money, you get 3 days off, and this is how the schedule is going to work. So here's the plan. And also you can involve the employees in planning out the change. A lot of times our employees are so much closer to the thing that's being changed than we are. It would be a bad idea to leave them out. So we got it. Number 1, plan out the change. Number 2, I always feel so silly saying this, but you need to deploy effective leadership. So you need to have good leaders. And it sounds so simple, but we're developing a leadership training right now, actually, that everybody in all of our companies can go through. And maybe we will sell it to online or something, but leadership is just the biggest problem in business. Like, I'm sure if you guys don't own your own business, or I'm sure that at one point you've worked for someone else who was a leader, right? You weren't always your own boss. And you know, if you have a leader who doesn't appreciate you, doesn't make you feel safe, is like negative or grumpy or whatever, those kind of leaders, if the employees don't trust them, they don't feel trusted and loved and cared about, they will not follow those leaders. So not only do we need to have good leaders in place for number 2, deploy effective leaders, we need to actually have effective leaders who are excited about and on board with the change. You want to tell those leaders, okay, I need you to be even, more awesome during this change. And I need you to be a change maker, like a change champion with me. Okay. So this is the change. I need your help. I need you to make sure that the team follows you, get everybody excited about it. And so we got number 1, plan out the change. Number 2, deploy effective leadership. Number 3, measure employee engagement before, during, and after the change. So hopefully you guys have got some sort of monthly employee feedback system in place, like Google Forms or SurveyMonkey, or you don't have to pay for it. Use Google Forms if you guys don't have anything else. But you need to be sending an anonymous survey out to all your employees each month and finding out on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy and engaged were you last month at work? And then the next month we do the same thing, and the next month and the next month, forever. The second question on that survey, and there's only 2, is why did you pick that number? You're going to learn so much from that question. It's so cool. Okay, so step 3 is measure employee engagement before, during, and after the change. And you want to notice, okay, if you've already got this monthly survey process in place, you're golden, because you're just going to look at, okay, we implemented this new system, this marketing mastermind, let's say, in January, and we're going to look at the employee engagement December, January, February, March, and we'll see, did it get better or did it get worse? And if it got worse, how can we fix it? Okay, chances are if it got worse, we didn't do one of these steps. So plan out the change, deploy effective leaders, measure employee engagement before, during, and after. And the 4th step is to create and recast and remind and reiterate a clear and compelling vision for the change. Okay, just like you create a vision for your business, it needs to be exciting and it needs to compel people. It needs to like drag them towards it. It needs to be that exciting. Does that make sense? My TMH team and I had the greatest meeting. I want to say it was last week, was it? And we've got this huge whiteboard just covered with our plans for this Choices for Children social enterprise that we're going to start. And this vision, it's full, and we were all teared up, and we were all like, we had this plan to like teach it to other people for free and like go train them. And so now that we have this vision that we just know will change the world, I have seen, no word of a lie, their productivity is like 10x. I'm like, how did you get that done so fast? Like, before I would take you a week. Oh, I did that, and I watched this video, and I studied this, and here's some research on the thing we're going to do, So having a compelling vision is so important. I would say that, I want to say it's the most important part of these 5, but I would say that about everyone. But when people are excited and compelled to achieve a vision with you, magic happens. Okay. Now, you have to have the vision for your business for 5 to 10 years down the road. That has to be engaging and compelling. But what I'm talking about today is a compelling vision for the change. So if the change is the 4-day work week, because I already mentioned that, I'll just talk about that. Just really sell it and really talk about it a lot. Like, oh my gosh, what are you guys going to do with your 3 days off every week? Like, what are you gonna fill your time with? You know, are you gonna go on more trips? And talk about how, oh, my wife and I, or my husband and I are going to take our kids camping like every weekend this summer because we get 3 days off every single week. It's going to be so amazing. So as we're planning out the change, deploying effective leaders, measuring employee engagement, and actually completing a change, we're keeping them very, very excited about the vision for the change. So how wonderful things will be after. And you know, you really need to have a lot of energy, and you need to really be excited about it. And if you're not, get excited about it. You have to, okay? Because if I came on here and I was trying to teach you guys and I was like, yeah, you could try this if you want, but I don't know if it'll work. How motivated would you be to try this stuff, right? Not at all. So make sure you're excited. And you know what? A lot of people have accused me of asking them to change their personality as a leader. And I'm like, no, I'm not talking about your personality or who you are. I'm talking about just being more enthusiastic, okay? So if you want to say, oh, well, I'm just not enthusiastic, well, then you should not be a leader, because nothing great is achieved without enthusiasm. And that's not me, that's Ralph Waldo Emerson. So don't make a quote card about that. But yeah, really, really get excited about that vision and really share that with your people. So number 5, so we got, sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 is create and recast clear and compelling vision for the change, and reiterate with excitement. And then number 5 is create urgency. Now, I didn't used to teach the 5th step because I didn't think we needed it. And sometimes when people create urgency for their staff, they do it wrong and they scare them. They might say something like, well, if you don't get this, we're going to go out of business. And that's the opposite of what we want to do. Okay. We want to engage and motivate the staff with all 4 of those other pieces. And while being a very enthusiastic, positive, and kind leader, we're going to create urgency by telling them, if this change doesn't happen, here's what bad things will happen. You know, like, we may not be able to give anyone raises ever, or like for 2 years, or there may not be a Christmas bonus this year, or thousands of clients will be let down. You know, just giving them sort of the bad thing that will happen if we don't complete the change will create the urgency. Light a fire under them. That's the last step. And my favorite way to create urgency is using your questions as your superpower, right? So if you want to ask them, okay, guys, what's going to happen? Oh, I just got signed out of my notes. I just might need 1 sec, guys, here. But if you ask yourself, or you ask your staff, what is going to happen if we don't make this change? They will tell you the things that create urgency for them. And they will motivate themselves. So just remember that as a leader, that questions are your superpower. Okay, I'm back. Okay, sum it up. Change leadership. Plan out the change, number 1. 2 is deploy effective leaders. 3 is measure employee engagement before, during, and after. 4 is create and recast a clear and compelling vision for the change. And 5 is create urgency. Okay, guys, so if you use those 5 steps all the way through every change that you make, you're going to have a much higher success rate than the current average, which is 24%. That's why I wrote my paper on it, because 24% of change initiatives succeed. So 76% fail. That math is right? Okay. 76% of change initiatives fail. And change is happening all the time. So you have to use those tools when you're doing changes, because you need your team to come along with you. And this could be your competitive advantage. Other people suck at change in their company because they're not doing stuff like this, and they're not attending a webinar or a Zoom meeting like this, and they're not writing it down and making notes, and then they're going to refer to it later. So you can actually use being a great change leader to beat your competition. You know, with COVID, we saw so many people pivot and change and convince their team successfully to change with them. Not only that, get excited, create urgency, and these businesses are killing it, but they're selling something totally different. Huge change, little change, doesn't matter. You have to be good at change if you want to be good at business. Okay. That's a good quote card. Okay. So second thing I want to talk about today are challenging conversations. I don't want you to call them challenging conversations. I just want you to call them conversations. Okay. So we have on average 27 conversations per day, and any conversation you have with your team is just another conversation. Okay. You don't want to make people feel like it's like some impending doom, something bad, like I talked to one of my employees today, is a newer employee. And I said, just so you know, when I ask you if I can talk to you for a few minutes, you're never in trouble. That doesn't happen here. Nothing's wrong. I just want to ask you some questions and you're going to tell me the answers. And actually, I learned something today from that employee. So I just want you to remember that you should always be having happy, easy, fun conversations with your staff, so that when it does come time to have a chat, they're not terrified. And when it comes time to talk about change, they are used to you and you are used to them, and you can have clear and direct communication. Okay. And I wanted to also say about conversations, change conversations. Don't ever get angry at your staff or grumpy with them or mean to them or, heaven forbid, disappointed in them. Just use your tools. Okay. So we've given you those 5 steps to use for change leadership. We also have all of our tools. We can coach using our culture statements. We can coach using our mission statement, our vision statement, their job descriptions, their KPIs, the policies, and the procedures we have in our business. You just want to ask questions if the conversation is proving challenging. And they can be leading questions, getting the employee to tell you what you want to hear. And just remembering, it's a lot more powerful if they come up with it. Okay. So during these change conversations, try to ask questions, like I said, with the urgency. What do you guys think will happen if we don't make this change? Because when they say it, they're way more bought in. One of my favorite mentors always likes to say, people support what they help to create. And that's Brennan Burchard. People support what they help to create. So keep people very involved when you're going through change, okay? I'm going to get everybody to stand up and just shake out your arms and your legs and do a little walking around, because lots of people are falling asleep on camera here. So let's just get up, do a little dance, go pee, whatever you need to do. And we'll be back here in 2 minutes, okay? Do something movement wise, turn on a song or something, guys. Okay? Don't check your email.
course I will.
Okay, awesome. Did you have yourself muted when I was muted?
Yep.
Okay. Hey guys, everybody back? I hope you had a good dance break. Dave, I'm looking at you. Oh, so many cameras are on. Thank you guys so much. All right. So I've got two more things I want to teach you today, but before we get into those two things, I wanted to see if anybody had a situation, question, like maybe if anybody, you can ask me anything, but if you have a change that you're going through right now, we could coach you through it, sort of thing. If anybody wants to volunteer, or if anybody has like a specific situation that you want to ask about. Not on this screen. Nobody on this screen. Okay, well then I will keep going, but please feel free to ask questions. Okay, guys, I don't want this to be just like watching a TV show. I want you to really, I want you to get something really, really valuable out of today that you can take back and use and make a really great difference in your business. Okay. Okay, so the third thing I want to teach you today is roles and goals. So clear roles and goals. This is a rhyme that I learned in an HR class, and I thought, I just didn't used to think HR was fun, but it's amazing. But this little rhyme, I can't remember my prof's name, but I will never forget this little rhyme, clear roles and goals. So in every change, we have people assigned to certain parts of the change, right? Or maybe like, for example, if we're switching email providers, everybody's role is to what? Is it to feedback if there's any trouble with it? Is it to book their own appointment with the technician who's switching everything over? But on top of their job descriptions and goals that they already have, they want to have clear roles and goals for the change. Okay. And I have a feeling people aren't asking questions because they want to get back out into that beautiful sunshine. So if we finish this early, I am totally happy to let everybody go early. Okay. Does anyone have any questions about clear roles and goals for the change? When people really understand what their role is and what their goals are for the change, and it might be the same common goal for everybody, and that's okay. And it might even be the same role for a lot of people, but just make sure everyone understands your role during this change and your goal for this change is. And having it in writing is also a really good idea.
You suggest
Okay.
for timelines. So
Pardon?
roles, being clear with your roles and your responsibilities. What do you suggest for timelines for reaching some of these roles and goals?
Yeah, thank you. That's great. So it has to go on the calendar. You guys have to, that's something that I am getting better at, but obviously I'm not perfect at. Whenever you ask someone to do something, you should make sure that you agree on a deadline, and you should put it in both of your calendars. And then we follow the no surprises rule. I can't remember which book it was in. I want to say one of Ken Blanchard's book, but if you can't complete your project or your role or your goal by the date that you agreed on, you need to come tell your leader right away, because you don't want to, like Cindy, you, for example, let's say you show up to a really important meeting and someone was supposed to have a report done for you and sent to you, and it's supposed to be in your inbox, and it's not in your inbox. That's a surprise, and we don't like surprises. So we use the no surprises rule and the calendars. Does that answer your question? Yeah, thank you. Thanks for asking a question. Earlier, I was like, am I muted? It's just summer and it's Zoom fatigue. But guys, this is the last one for the summer. You guys get the summer off, okay? And we're almost through. So humility and taking feedback. How many people are actively asking for feedback from their people? Oh, you guys, either no one's, oh, two, okay, good. I was gonna say either no one.
Dave has a question.
Great. What is the question?
He says, what do you do with an employee that doesn't seem to want to buy in? If they just seem disconnected, how do you reconnect them?
Have you had a conversation with them where you ask them questions?
Yes, I have.
What
And
were-
they're not a direct report. it's someone down a little further.
Okay.
And so they're not a manager as much. They're more of a lead hand on a crew, but we're
Okay.
trying to get them to buy in, and they just don't seem like they have, like we've talked about the change. We've explained what happens with the change, but they just seem like it's just, they're just not buying in.
Well, who is their supervisor?
One of my direct reports.
Okay. And so what's his leadership like?
His leadership is good. Well, you know him, Ryan, and he's learning as a leader, certainly coming along, but he's not exactly where he wants to be, or we want him to be. I'm excited about your leadership program, because if you do decide to sell it, that'll be kind of required viewing for everybody on my team.
Oh, you're a platinum client, Dave. You get it all for free. I'm gonna give it to you for free. It's everything's included. So I think that if I were you in that situation, I would have a chat with that person's leader. And if they think it's a good idea, so I would say, Ryan, do you think that it would be a good idea for me to chat with this person? That's an example of a leading question. And if he says, yeah, would you have a try? That's great, because people support what they helped to create, right? And now he's telling you, please help me, go talk to him, rather than you taking away his power and saying, you're not doing a great job, I'm just going to step in here for you. And then you have great leadership skills, because I trained you myself for the last year, so I know that. And then you get in there with your questions. And you just ask questions until you figure it out. Questions are so your superpower, because they'll tell you about the barriers that they're having. You can knock those over for them. They'll tell you about their fears that they're having. You can help with those. Maybe they'll tell you something about their leader that you don't know that you could help coach him on. Or maybe they're going to quit soon and you could save that person. Do you know what I mean? A lot of times when people aren't engaged or bought in or excited or whatever, like they're looking for another job. And so these monthly feedback surveys, I love doing them, because it's kind of a proactive way to be like, oh, somebody's looking, we have a 4 or a 5 out of 10 here. That's not good. But if they show you that they're not excited about the change, or they're not really bought in, that's also kind of another indicator that they're not really feeling like they have the best leaders, or don't want to work there anymore.
Okay.
So I would say have Ryan decide that you're going to talk to him. And then when you talk to him, just ask questions and try to make sure that you only talk 10% of the time.
All right.
Yeah. And I hate to say it this way. I guess I won't use the word weapon. It sounds better if I say use the silence as a tool. So if I'm sitting with Mercedes and I'm coaching her and I'm asking her questions, like, you don't seem as peppy today, what's going on? And she just doesn't say anything, then I don't say anything for as long as it takes. And so, yeah, that could be a little awkward, but it works really, really, really well. Some people need time to think. Some people are just not really, they're a little scared to share, but if you let them have that silence for a while and they realize Dave's not going to talk, I might as well just talk. It works really, really well. Does that help you?
Yeah,
Does that sound good?
Thank you.
Oh, awesome. Thanks for asking the question.
Lynn had a really great point too. She said, I'd be asking myself whether it is a motivation issue or an ability issue. Do they have the skills to make the change, or do they just not want to?
Did you see Lynn's comments there, Dave? And what do you think about that?
Well, that's my concern. That's my concern. But I mean, I guess in the coaching that I've received in my career, it's, you have to have somebody that's, I guess you give them the tools, you give them the opportunity, and then it's up to them to decide to make it. But I also don't want this person to go. I don't want to lose them. I would like to keep them, because I mean, they have a lot of really good experience and so on. So I want to get to that next level. Like, it's easy enough to say, you're not bought in, adios. But I don't want that to be our culture.
No, I don't want that either. And so those might be some of the questions that you ask, the things that Lynn mentioned.
Yeah.
I think having that conversation with him yourself is going to be pretty, it's going to give you everything you need.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And thanks, Dave.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you, Lynn.
Okay, so the last thing we're talking about is humility and taking feedback. So monthly, informally, with everyone. You can do surveys with your clients, you can do your surveys with your staff, you can do surveys with your partners or other stakeholders, but you want to be getting feedback as a leader, especially during change. Because for me, actually, just this year, I learned that when we go through stressful changes, or stressful changes, that I was making it more of a struggle than it needed to be. And so I finally got some coaching from my mentor on that. And she's like, it doesn't need to be a struggle. Like literally nothing needs to be a struggle. It can be easy. It can be graceful, you know? So I used to react kind of emotionally. Like if something happened with, let's say like our accounting, our bookkeeper screwed something up, I would just react and I'd be like, I need to send an email. And it's like, no, you don't. You need to chill out and just be calm and then have a conversation when you're feeling better. And so I got that feedback from one of my staff. So then I asked my mentor for coaching on it. And so I'm a lot better for it. But especially during change, you guys, it can be easy to not be the best leader. So getting feedback during the change is very, very important. Any questions, guys? That's all I have for you today. No? So quiet, guys. I feel like I did a bad job. No, maybe I did such a good job. There are no questions, literally.
There was some good discussion in the chat.
Good. What did I miss? Let's look at the chat.
And some of us have had to take extra doses of allergy medicine the last couple of days. I don't know if you guys are, but the fluff the last 2 days has been insane.
Yeah, it's crazy. Okay, guys, I'm going to stay on here till you guys all sign off, just in case anybody wants to stay and ask a question with nobody else. But just remember, this is being recorded. If you guys want to ask any questions privately, you could email office@tmhbusiness.com and we'll do our best to help you that way. But I just want to tell you one more time, I'm so, so, so proud of you guys for showing up, for being coachable and teachable, and being those kinds of leaders that are working on themselves, because employees need to feel loved and taken care of and appreciated and like their boss is awesome. Because if you're not awesome, they will leave, you know, or they won't perform, or they just won't be happy. And not being happy sucks. So good for you guys. I'm really, really proud of you. I'm so grateful for this opportunity. Thank you for listening. And if you guys felt like I taught you something useful today, we would deeply, deeply appreciate a few comments and a Google review. It's one of our claims to fame. So we need to keep the reviews coming. So if you feel so inclined, we would appreciate it so much. Thank you guys. And you're free to go. I'll stay here in case anyone wants to stay behind and ask a question, but I think we're ready to say goodbye. Thanks, guys. Thanks for coming.
Have a wonderful summer, everyone.
Yeah, guys. See you in September, I guess, right? Okay, guys. Thank you. You're welcome.
I had a question, Kelli-Rae.
Hi, go ahead.
Sure. So just kind of stemming off the feedback a little bit, but we do like a formal review with the team, with our team members. It's annual, and so that's the feedback in a different way. But I just find it pretty ineffective.
Yeah, take me
so
through it. One big problem is that it's annual. Just so you know, we got to have a monthly. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's almost, I think, where the ineffectiveness lies. So what we do, or we've been trying the last year, is we would hand a questionnaire basically for a self-assessment. Everyone fills it out, sends it back in, and then us as managers would look at it and put our own thoughts to it. And then we meet person to person and talk those things through. So where we align, or where maybe more where we don't, I guess. But there is more conversations, just informal through the year. Obviously, if there's an issue that comes up, we're not waiting till, you know, the annual review to bring it up and address
Good.
it or coach
Don't
through
ever
it.
do that.
Yeah, and so I guess just that way, and so those annual reviews do tie, and it's a way to summarize for the rest of the management and the team, but it ties into their performance, whether you get an increase or not, and those sorts of things. I just don't know how effective it is, and I'm just trying to find out maybe what other options are out there that could be effective with more frequent feedback.
Great. Okay,
Yeah.
so thank you so much for asking this question, because
Sure.
whoever came up with annual reviews it's not a good idea. It's way too long. So you can have an annual review where you make it a more robust meeting. The agenda, let's say that we review the job description, the KPIs, we review the performance for the whole year, and we talk about raises. That might be something that you do once a year. But in addition to that, and also, I'm not sure how you feel about the self-rating and then you rating. I personally don't like that, just in my experience on both sides of it and seeing clients and employees doing it.
It's hard to be objective with it, right? Like either
Yeah.
you score yourself really high because you want to impress, or else you get the people are kind of like scoring really low, even though they're not performing there. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's kind of really awkward way of just being like, what you think is wrong. So I don't really like the whole but you know what, if it works for you, that's okay. And then I would make sure that every month you do that feedback survey that asks them how engaged and happy they are and why they chose that number from that scale of 1 to 10.
Yeah.
And do that every single month. But also every month you should be having a KPI meeting. And these can be as short as 15 minutes when you really nail them. I have them with all my direct reports. My leadership team has them with all their direct reports, and they happen every single month for every single position. And we review the job description and the KPIs. And we say, how's it going? Did you hit your KPIs? Yes, you did. You killed it. Great job. High five. Is there anything I can help you with? That might be a 4-minute conversation. The next one might take a little longer because you're like, okay, let's look at your job description. Still current? Did we add anything in the last month? No? Okay, we're good. Look at your KPIs. Oh, shoot. You didn't hit your KPIs. So what happened there? And questions, right? Questions and silence as a tool, because you don't need to teach and tell and talk at people as a leader. You need to ask them questions and help them grow and help them realize things, right? So when I ask an employee, well, why don't you think you're hitting your KPI? They might say something like, I have no control over this one part. Like, you might not even know that there's some barrier existing that makes them unable to achieve their goal until you ask.
Right.
So yeah, I'd have monthly KPI meetings, review the job description and KPIs, make sure they hit their KPIs, and if not, ask how we can help support them in hitting them. And do that every month, and then do that feedback survey every month as well.
Okay.
And you can keep your annual review, but add those other things.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for asking.
Sure.
Okay, guys. Are we good? I'm gonna hang up soon. Does anybody else have anything? No? It's like when we were teenagers, first in love, when we were 13 years old. No, you hang up on the house phone. Okay. Have a great day, guys. Have an amazing summer. Thank you so much for being here and for watching. And I will talk to all of you soon. Take care.